why you are having a tough time as a business loan broker, and how to shift your perhaps strategy, tactics, what you need to uncover so that way you have much more of a simpler, or in other words, easier time doing this. Hi, this is Michael. I'm an expert business loan broker who's been able to fund a lot of clients in different industries of different magnitudes. I've been in this market long enough to understand each and every service, from revenue-based funding to credit-based collateral and much more. Bank funding, non-traditional funding, and a lot more. So let me get right into things. I have a post on my laptop right in front of me I'm going to read from, and I posted this in a group recently for people to realize, other brokers slash agents, for them to really understand the gravity of being a business loan broker and staying one over a long time. Again, I've been in this for some time. I've seen consistencies, inconsistencies, and I'm going to go through that right now. And so, a big reason why you have such a hard time being a business loan broker is because, yes, you don't have the right strategies and tactics, or you do, but you just realize how actually difficult it can be to get a client funded. You already have a tough time perhaps translating or communicating across your message, and your deliverability of your message is what's most important. And understanding what you're saying, why you're saying it, but also how you are saying it. And it's not always about what you're saying, so it's about what isn't being said. And that's stuff you can get in return from the business owner. And so a big problem I see is that at the first stage of initial point of contact, the communication channel, however that may be, I do all forms. I'm an internet marketer. I have a digital marketing agency, affiliate marketing businesses, and other ventures. And I get a lot of my traffic, people coming through my blogs. I have video content, short form, long form, social media. And it's just, video isn't for everybody. It's not for me still, but I know it's a way that it can attract a good amount of an audience. And I want to create the value for the people. But you could do it in many ways. You can do it by being on foot, meeting with bank managers. You can go meet an accountant, maybe your own accountant, other people who can refer you clients and do a multiple amount of them. I created a video not too long ago. I might link you to down below. If not, it's okay, but in time. And so it's hard because you have to bring people into an application. Now, there's already a lot of uncertainty. Maybe there is that certainty there. But now you have to wait throughout the process, get feedback from your underwriter or underwriters, the lender, communicate efficiently with your clients, and letting them know what they were approved for, what they weren't approved for, and why were they declined, or why did it happen that way. In a lot of circumstances, you should be taking on that. Other times you have an internal team that can do this for you, but a lot of the times the client wants to hear from you because you're the one helping them out. They trust in you more. But a lot of them get declined. And it isn't like another opportunity out there where, you would bring somebody in, and it's not quote unquote more predictable, but it's harder to, in this space, bring somebody in, and you can get discouraged just bringing people in consistently, and you find out that they get declined. You have to bring in another 2 to 3 people, and they didn't get what they wanted, or they had low depositing that month, and then they had low frequency of deposits. They had the revenue drop. They had non-sufficient funds now that they didn't have before. There's so many reasons, and there's so many obstacles and so many objections that these clients have, especially with revenue-based financing, that it just makes it more trickier. And so they're getting declined time and time again, and you have to stick in it. And it makes it so troublesome sometimes, and you can't see it clearly because you're bogged down from all these clients, or you're bringing people in, but it's not enough. Like, you want to create value for them, but you also want to get a good return, perhaps on commission or multiple. Don't look at it just from the money. Detach yourself from that and focus on the objective, which is providing value and educating, entertaining people on it if you can. I'm not the most entertaining person, but educating people on the subject. So here, let me go through this post. It says, why you're having a tough time getting clients funded. Excuse me. when you have everything set in place to crush it and what you can do different. Hi, and then I put my name here. Agents slash brokers have a tough time getting clients funded for a lot, and I mean a lot, and I put that apart in parentheses, of reasons in general, no matter at what level. You may be starting, you're somewhere in between, or later on in your journey, you're doing well. And for the remainder of this post, I want to target and focus on those of you who have all your processes in place, systems, automation frameworks, etc. You have the communication down, or somewhat, the strategies and tactics, the high quality leads and relationships built personally and in business is more beneficial. You're doing your thing and you're on a roll, baby. I see you. So I want to focus on those of you who are grasping this. Now, if you're not, that's okay. Just listen in. You could get to this point, or if you don't, but at least you have an understanding and a better perspective from someone. And this is speaking from experiences. And I've been able to get a lot of clients funded and a lot of them not. I still have my peaks and my valleys. And it's no different, even as an expert doing this. And I'll go into why I would actually leave this industry, for what reason I would. So stick with me. You'll get to a point, if you haven't yet, where you will feel, for quotes, and think your best is not enough, dot, dot, dot. You'll begin to question many things. Your thoughts may not be as orderly, as compartmentalized, or as highly positive and spiritual and more like you know yourself to be. And so I've worked on myself in personal development in my other businesses as an entrepreneur business owner. And so personal development is huge. I'm not a guru, but I read a lot of books that I've already read, and I reread. Atomic Habits is one of them, and multiple others for strategy and growing. I do a lot of it every day, self-development. And so you'll begin to question many of these things. Your thoughts may not be as orderly and compartmentalized, or it's highly positive and spiritual and more like you know yourself to be, or at least your tasks, they divert. Your energy and time goes in ways you wouldn't want it to. And you do things that are not you. Sure, put yourself in an uncomfortable position to grow, but know your limits. Don't shatter your values and morals to become someone you are not. And I put you in parentheses or in caps lock. And in parentheses, I say, in a bad way, just to make something get funded and for a payday. That's it. And where you draw the line. There are a lot of shady people in this industry, in this space. Really, there are. So be careful who you get your information from. There are people maybe on YouTube who mean well, and they're probably sharing somewhat similar content. And I'm not saying that it isn't right, because a lot of it is. But you want to also get it from somebody who's also had not only those experiences, but actually getting clients funded. And I've gotten clients funded over 6-figure, 7-figure clients, good paydays, of course. It's not all about the commission. It's about doing what's in the best interest for the client. So if you find a scenario, like I've been in places where, hey, they can get $200,000 a revenue-based loan with, or an advance through that with inventory is what they needed, but it makes sense for them to do maybe an SBA working capital or an SBA inventory loan of $250,000 fast, and then get them $50,000 in additional bridge funding, and then consolidate that. It just depends on the scenario, or we just do a SBA standard loan if they're equipped to do that. If they're not, then there are other scenarios. So it's not all about getting paid the most. And it may be something is missing and you're wondering or you're overlooking it. For others, it's just about continuously iterating what's working, fine-tuning, and doing more and more of it. As an introvert myself who likes the system engineering parts, I love this. Iterations, making something, improving a system, making a funnel, a process, the automation of things much more efficient, and by iterating it, improving the return on that investment, activity, and financially, and more. Split testing, a lot of stuff that I do on my back end, and back end marketing. That's what I love doing. So marketing has evolved, and there's a lot of front level, surface level, creating funnels, a marketing message. There's all that part I can do. But I love the back end work, looking at the numbers, the data, making sure that I can improve a system. How do I improve this? How do I go about doing that? I love doing those kind of things. And from what I've seen at this point, be the troubling obstacle in my career / journey the most is the owner or owners you're working with getting in their own way. What do I mean? So first of all, I'm no slouch. I'm thick-skinned, and I've become more thick-skinned because of this industry. I don't trust easily. Perhaps the people you're working with don't either, and that's okay. You find common ground. You don't have to open up too much personally if you don't want. They don't have to as well. Just find that common ground. And you have to sometimes have people, or I say a majority of the time, have them conform to what you have, your processes, your systems, your automation. Make them believe in what you do and how you do it and deliver it right. And so I can communicate well in different communication modes, but you have to be sometimes reserved when you're doing things, and I'll get into that. What do I mean? Things that you thought were more predictable, they become unpredictable, and it can happen like that with the client. You can go from hearing from them, getting feedback, not even started an application yet, just something via email, a quick text message. Hey, I'll do this. When can I accept it? When can I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. When can I expect is the word. When can I expect to receive your documentation and application by? Something simple as that helps, so you can limit the time frame and see where they're at. So, and from what I've seen, again, at this point, be the troubling obstacle in my career journey the most is the owners getting in their own way. What do I mean? Things that you thought were more predictable become unpredictable. And that can also mean once they're in the application or start the app through getting through underwriting, and then the other end of it, it could be unpredictable through underwriting at times from what you thought was going to work. Maybe it didn't, or didn't work to the extent. And you'll find yourself having to balance between bringing a person into the application to the end of the process, dot, dot, dot. And a lot of times they get cold feet. They become unresponsive. They are sickeningly hard to get a hold of. And you get no feedback at all, or very minimal. Parentheses. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. I can go on and on like the Energizer Bunny on this here. This is a really, and in caps like I put really, thick-skinned industry. And if you're not, you can vanish like this overnight. I can't and I won't sugarcoat it in bold. So what do? Let's get into the solution. Problem, pain, solution. I want you to think of each service as its own personality and characteristics. Understand the service. Study it like you are at a top-notch university about to come out with the 4.0. But more importantly is this. Study your target market demographics, but better yet, the psychographics of your ideal target dream customer. If you get to know how they think, behave, feel, trust, take action, their aspirations, what they value, what are their beliefs, everything like this, etc., you'll be in better position to not have wasteless people, and you'll attract people that are like you. If you're that way, I am. It's harder said than done, especially if you get people who are not in line with bettering themselves, in parentheses, not just their business only. What I mean by that is their health, their relationships, everything that happens outside of business. That can have a translation and direct correlation to their business as well. But you want to get to know who sometimes they are as opposed to who they are in their business. Reputation versus character, two different things. I would say all business owners, let's back up here. Okay. Yeah, bettering themselves, not only in their business only, who don't take care of their own finances, their health, their wealth, or their relationships, etc., and more. I would say all business owners think about it the same, but that's not 100% true. Many of them just want money, and they could care less about putting themselves in your shoes, or to a larger degree. Let's be honest. I care about every one of them, but how well is that reciprocated to you, to me, to someone else? So I'm always asking myself of who am I working with? I don't just accept any file. I can have a lot of people, but even if a business owner is generating millions per month, doesn't mean that that's the ideal person I want to work with. Why? Because it could come down to beliefs. It can come down to them being arrogant, cocky, stubborn. Their ego gets in the way, and we can try to leave that out the door before we go into an application. But if you're already dealing with a lot of resistance and friction with someone, and I still go through those things myself with people, and it's not on my end anymore, it's on their end, because I've learned what I've needed to. I've adapted and I've worked on myself and tremendously. Not that I was ever bad. I just had to work on myself more and have more consistency in my own development. But you got to know those things. And for example, not too long ago, I was working with a trucker here, okay? If you know truckers, not all of them are the same, but I would say that a lot of the times, not all, but a big part of them have I don't want to use the word nasty, but they have an attitude. or an outlook. And I get it. We're not expecting them to be financiers or advisors and like put the suit and the tie kind of person. But you're dealing with somebody on that other end who can make things very hard and unpredictable for you. Like you could be the most suited up, or not even in a suit, but the most standard or most up to standard punctuality discipline. Because I'm up here nowadays. But you can be speaking to that person on the other end who's just very volatile, unpredictable, and from one day it's predictable to the next it's like you don't know, it's a play by play. And so this is why it soaks up a lot of your energy and time. You have to be careful about that. I'll get into that now. But not too long ago I was working with a trucker here, okay, who has the right attitude with a similar set of beliefs as I have, to be punctual and disciplined, be orderly, to gather the correct knowledge from different angles before making their decisions. He handles his finances well and more, and he knew his stuff. This wasn't his first rodeo. He led in the conversation from the very beginning with saying, Mr. Michael. I didn't expect that. I don't expect that. But I felt like that was very professional and very considerate of him to say that. And that was a respectful thing. And I took that as like somebody says, sir, or somebody who's speaking to you in a higher manner. I was very appreciative. Again, I was taken back a little bit, but it made sense for him. And in the first sentence said that he's seen my work and asked me how I've been doing. Parentheses, how many people, at least on email, ask how you are doing? Not a lot. Maybe on a call, not always. But that other person on the other end may just be looking for money, and they're like, I don't care who they are. I'm not going to ask them how they're doing. And that shows a lot. And that I wouldn't have to worry about him wasting my energy and time. He put up a few points. I'm not one to have my energy and time wasted. Period. You will learn this if you haven't. To safeguard and protect your energy and time. How you talk, how much you talk. What you say, what you don't say. Why you say it, how you say it, when you say it. And so you'll learn who to take on as a client. Sometimes in the beginning, you're just going after anybody and anything because you want to build that reputation or you want to continue to move. But I'm going to tell you right now that it is going to easily become a wasteless amount of energy and time on certain clients that you're working on. Not only because they're lower tier, that's not the point. Yeah, you're not always going to want to work on lower tier clients because it's not going to be a good amount that you'll get in return. It won't be the amount of energy you are wasting or putting into this, conserving energy. You have to think about those things. And you don't want to leave the end of the day looking back like, what did I just do? What happened today? You don't want to feel tired. You want to walk out of there to your next activity with your family and friends or whatever that may be, and you have this all together. You still have the energy conserved. You don't have to lay on your bed and wonder, like, I got to rest for an hour or two and then get back on this or get back to my family. And I'm so tired. And it happens. And it still happens sometimes with me when I'm creating content a majority of my time. I'm not one to have my energy and time wasted. So he respected me even greater for it. He had a pre-frame, so he had an understanding of where I was and who I am before he ever reached out to me. And he told me this. So he respected me even greater for it. I found out who they were as a person and if they were someone I was willing to take on at the moment or later on at any point in time. And if you haven't heard me speak about character versus reputation, I said this in the group, you can search it and why it matters greatly. I might have more content on that, but it's okay if not. Unfortunately, they went through someone else to get funding because this other company / broker had the first position. My client was hugely disappointed. And this is the thing. You're going to come across this space and you're going to be so irritated. It's like a pet peeve where the client may have already submitted something somewhere else, but they didn't know that there was another third party or multiple lenders who were sending them emails and stuff. And they probably shouldn't have been getting those emails, but they find out. These people find out that they're getting contacted and they're applying and their information stored on the credit bureau. So that's how people can pull data from them. Syndication, there's so many ways. They're data scraping emails online. So if you think you're the first one, you may be, but if you're not, it's the same thing. And so not always does it happen, but the client may be already getting bombarded with a lot of other emails, so you have to be very careful. And so what happened already is another client took first position on a lender that I was trying to help him get funded with, And my client was hugely disappointed because he went through the other person that he didn't want to. He told me, I don't even want to work with that person. You've been helping me the most. They didn't do squat, pretty much. And so I said, I understand, and I would feel the same way. You're not alone in this. But he said, and I was disappointed in that too. It was like, God, I put energy and time to this, and just to find out that this happened. Yeah. Sometimes you got to be careful about who you give that energy and time to. And this was one where with them, it had to be a phone call. I did emails already, took care of it. They knew about things. They just wanted clarification over an email at that point. And so I went back and forth, but it was like, it ends up becoming where somebody else had them as you gotta be careful. And so he said he would be coming back to me to do creative credit-based financing this time. He doesn't want these advances, and his depositing frequency doesn't help. And so that's something you have to pay close attention to as an agent slash broker, very closely in this market, and at times as an agent slash broker, because you might have, for example, a trucking client or a construction client, whatever industry it is in, less about maybe retail restaurants, because those are doing different they're taking credit card transactions and they're depositing more frequently in those statements. So it's built for more companies like that. But not to say that they couldn't get approved trucking in other industries, because a lot of them do. But the depositing frequency, they might be saying, hey, I got a setback in this market. I got to only deposit once at the end of that week. I used to deposit 3 to 5 times. Now it's like I lost customers, or here's what happened. And so their depositing frequency isn't every day or every other day or 2 to 3 days. It's about every week, every bi-week, closer to the end of the month. And so they're scared about taking a daily advance, a weekly term loan, a weekly advance. You always see daily or weekly. Monthly is hard to come by with a lot of this, even with 12 to 24 months, sometimes up to 36 months in some of these revenue-based products. A lot of the time you see weekly. And so right then and there is something to pay close attention to. And if you don't see or hear that from them, they're just going to not think you know what you're doing a lot of the times. And so it's their depositing frequency. So they wanted to do credit-based. They already have strong credit. They just need to remove some derogatories, some chargebacks, charge-offs, and then they will be ready to go to do business credit card stacking. So we're going to add multiple business credit cards to their accounts and get them 0% interest for 6 to 18 months. Use that business funding. They can liquidate the cash out of those cards and use them for any investments. You got to think about all three, not just revenue-based, but credit-based collateral, which is their preferred goal, which is to do credit-based, which I knew about, but I got feedback from an underwriter and they were going to get approved. So they had to turn to those advances. Another person, he's in the insurance space, a strong entrepreneur. I said entrepreneur, not a business owner. I said an entrepreneur. We think differently, who has the same values as I have. Unlike me, though, he's on the extroverted side. They know that to become a great business owner slash entrepreneur, personal development is the key, and I understand that. They understand energy and time conservation, management, and very well their own finances. They know how to run a business. They oversee a lot of agents. He's not selling products. He's overseeing the agents that sell the products, promote the products. So he sees it from a different perspective. They can get funding in multiple places, which is great too. So ultimately, get to learn your client's way of thinking and who they are, as opposed to just looking at targeting a certain age, industry, etc. It really makes a big difference and can be the reason why someone gets funded or not. It can be the major difference with you ending the day tired, asking yourself what just happened, versus spending the rest of your day, evening, feeling great, happy, being who you are on top of things. Maybe you are a bit tired, but you're able to do things with clarity, with your thought process, not let me just sit back and lay down, I'm tired, and then recuperate. You're there, but you're not there still. You need a day to rest because of all the work you've been putting in. Secondly, follow up. In this industry, it's probably the most following up you'll ever have to do. It's ridiculous at times, but that's how it is. Like, you would literally have to follow up with that client because they may not even give you any feedback. Where'd they go? They fell off the rail, or it's disrespectful at times because you're working with somebody, it's unpredictable. They don't see it always the same way you see it, but they should, right? They're not being accountable. They're not being respectful. They're not just giving you feedback when you ask for it. And so it's a lot of up and down. I've always said to myself, and you're hearing this right here, not that I need to say it out loud to anyone else, but if I'm not doing at least between 20,000 to 50,000 per quarter, not only here and in the cash advance industry, but in totality, all services included, this really isn't worth it for me. And coming out of each person I helped exhausted, nope, not doing that. And so what I mean by this is I didn't say monthly. So reason being is because this industry, specifically the cash advances and the other products too, but the advances more than anything, like it's unpredictable. Like I have a huge list of people on my email list that know me as a person, know why me, why my business, the what, and then the how. The what the service could be, how to get through it. And so they have that understanding. Other people, they don't want to even take the time. You're sending me too many emails. They miss the whole point. They don't understand how I'm building that relationship with them, even without me getting on a call with them. And it doesn't always need to be that way, unless the way you do it is efficiently done that way. There are some times for it, not always. You have to be very careful, and I'll get into that in a moment. But per quarter, because you could be doing more, and I've had this done. I've meet these goals, but not do I always, because you find quality clients and you end up finding out that they changed their mind. They go in a different direction. They said, no, Michael, I'd rather hold off. We readjusted our plan and are thinking about doing this first. We want to raise our revenue from 20,000 to 40,000. Maybe it takes 6-7 months for them to come back, or maybe they don't. By that point, they fix their credit, and then, or if they hadn't done that, then they're getting business credit cards, and then they're using other kinds of funding that they don't have to go out and get a loan all the time, unless they really needed to. And so per quarter, excuse me, yes, the advances at the number per quarter alone will be fine, but harder with the service for many reasons. Don't just factor in your commission payout. I had a person in a live the other day who I was speaking to people, educating them on funding. He goes, do you work on default loans, because those are the ones that give you the bigger payout? And I'm like, and I asked them hard questions, and he never responded back. Like, he was probably taken back. Like, oh, I wasn't undermining him or anything. I was just asking him, like, are you doing this for a bigger pay? I didn't get a response. And I'm not here for the biggest payout. I'm here for the biggest impact. And impact and funding amount you get on your payment can be the same or correlated, but impact, making sure you take care of the client before your needs. And so not only here, but yes, the advances at the number per quarter will be fine, but harder with that service. Don't just factor in the commission payouts. Combined with other services / projects I have, not including my other businesses. So I'm saying that I have made these things, but not including my other businesses. But and those work in a different way. Those generate me a separate amount. Not this one. I'm not including it with all this. But since I'm dialed in on this industry, it has to be worth it. I've met these goals before in the past, currently making them. But still, I have those moments where it's just like, it's the end of a quarter. I want to make it. How do I make it? I'm relying on 1 or 2 clients. They don't accept something till the end of the month. And so it's like, it's dragging feet a lot of these times. And so even that is like, yeah. But I've met these goals, but it needs to be more consistent, more so with the advances, but so much happens with that service. So it's very a volatile service. Man, is it a volatile service. And you have to be careful. So just be ready, dive in deep, and readjust. Later on, after you've been doing this long enough, you can decide if it's really worth it or not. Cut out the noise. There's a time and place for preparation and motivation. You know, those gurus out there just trying to motivate you. But if you're stuck in motion and not taking any action, or on behalf of the client doing so, you're not seeing it from them, that's all it is. It's motion. Did you learn anything new here today? Or do you have any thoughts on this topic? Talk soon. My signature. Sorry, I'm kind of tired. I did a few lives earlier for a group of an audience on a specific subject. But recapping this, and I want to say this first. The reason why I would leave this industry, and I've said it before, I'm not looking at it from the money. Even if I was doing well enough, like I said, I've met those goals before where I'm doing 20,000 to 50,000 plus per quarter. And sometimes just per month, I'm meeting 20,000 to 50,000. Not always. It's just depending on the service and getting consistently good at this and doing it ethically and not selling people. I'm an introvert. Just imagine an introvert doing this. And I have my system, the processes, and my automation where I'm not having to get on calls with people all the time. And that's the biggest difference, is why people fail too and they have a hard time, is because you start to realize that, man, I really got to hit the floor and I got to go meet businesses and business owners, and I have to be calling them all the time. And you don't have to be. If I were to be doing that, I wouldn't be here making this video for you. I wouldn't be in this industry anymore, because I've proven that my systems, I do a lot of it via email, and my people who come to me conform to what I do, and they learn about the way that I do it and why it's so effective. And if there's a time for a phone call, then it makes sense to do that. But only after they've received I analyze and evaluate their questionnaire, which I have them submit. I'll respond back via email on their best funding option and options, thoroughly broken down. And then from there, I can follow up with them. Say, hey, can you please refer to that email? Did they? Okay, we check up. Maybe they have a question that wasn't said or was, but they need clarity. So, hey, less than a minute talk, build probably a quick amount of rapport. They know me, she knows me from my content. They know me from what they've seen because I've built my personal and business brand. So you might not have a personal and business brand, and you just have to get out there and promote the service, sell the product. Sell the product part, I don't know what I like to say. So it's more about not selling it, but making sure that people can get it without being sold. And you shouldn't have to be selling people. I don't do that at all myself. But making sure that they know this, building that service even more, and then leading people, leading your tribe. And so why I would leave it, it's because of the people. At the same time, why I want to help them, it's the same time I want to leave. My same entrance point is my same exit point. And here's what I mean. All of these people you're going to work with are sometimes hard to work with. I'll be very honest. It is taxing at times. There's a reward from it. Yeah, that's probably what's keeping you going and making sure you provide value. But at a point, you will get to, you'll ask yourself, is it worth it? So if I were to ever leave this industry, and it could happen over tomorrow, over the next week, because it still happens where I get clients like this. I can choose better now, but it happens where if I take a chance on that without knowing or without even them saying a word, I can understand who they are a lot of the times. But it's the people that will exhaust you on that other end. So you have to find a group, a demographic, but more so the psychographics of how they think. Do they value personal development? Who are they in their personal lives? Do they have a family? Do they value health? Do they exercise? Do they do this? How do they have a routine? Do they have one? Do they have habits on doing this? And do they show up accordingly? Do they respond? So these are all the things you want to have in someone and more. And so what I see is a lot of these business owners, like, I have my stuff together, but when I'm working with them, it could be so unpredictable. And that's why I would leave this industry, because they can go from good to bad like that. Or they can go good, and then boom. Or all the way through, and you're like, nice. But you gotta filter through those people. And so remember, you're working with people who have a business to run. They probably don't even know what working on themselves 100% means. They probably do, but not all. A lot of them do, but others are like, they don't have those strong values. They're making money in their business. That's what they're focused on, bringing new clients. They probably are doing everything in the business. I get it, but it's not an excuse for me, and it shouldn't be for you, how they show up. People who say they'll do something and they don't do it. They commit partially, or you thought fully, but then they only do it partially, or they don't show up anymore. They let you down. It's one of those industries. And again, like I said, at any point I can just decide to say no. And as an expert in the space that I am, and I'm in it every day, and I get the leads, I get the quality of leads. I've built my systems and done this over time. On foot, you could do it. I do that as well, but I don't do it as much. I do a lot of internet marketing stuff, and the conversion might be a bit less because it's a lot more on the online world, but it works. And you just have to understand it better and how to conform to it. But again, like I said, if I were to leave this industry, it wouldn't be because of the money. It wouldn't be because I don't enjoy helping people, stimulate the economy through them and stuff, because of the person. You'll find out once you work on yourself so much, it's not you who's the problem, or you don't have your stuff together or know your stuff. It's the other person who's getting themselves in the way. They're letting their own character get in the way. And then that can just prolong the process. Funding that you expected to get done in a week then turns out to be a month, or it never gets done. It gets turned down for certain reasons that they didn't tell you that they had on their background or whatever it is. And it's like, you got to continue to talk to business owners. And I'm not going to be the person on the phone with 20 people a day talking to them. That's not who I am. I do things differently. I have people submit questionnaires on my site, and I show them how I do things and why I do it and what it matters, why it matters, and what to do. So that's long enough of a video. There's a lot more reasons why it's hard as a business loan broker / agent. I just wanted to share the realities with you. Too many objections. You can break those objections down. You got to know your client, demographic, but psychographically even better. If you have that dialed in, you understand your niche, and what they want. Focus on a service. You can focus on revenue based, you can focus on collateral based, credit based. Have all three. I do all of them and more. And know how they think, because I'm telling you, it can be very taxing. And I'm a person who doesn't like that. As a system and math guy as I am, I'm like the guy behind the scenes working the systems and like the silent partner, but I just happen to be on the front end for this kind of stuff. And so even real estate clients, I have had that where a lot of them are just searching for information. You can build rapport with them as much as you want. You can let them into your world, who you are, who they are, and go into business stuff. But there's only so much you can do, and be very careful again. And people always ask me, like, why don't you get on a call with me and do this? And it's not because I don't want to, it's just I can't, because I have to protect my energy and time. That's valuable. And certain people will not value that and respect it, and certain ones will, and you just can't take a chance sometimes, because you're like, I've seen this where people just tire kick, pretenders and action takers, just information seekers, which is fine. Don't expect anything, just give people information. They can show up later, but at the same time, you don't want to be just the information person. So you have to understand this industry very well. So I'll have more information down below if you would like to sign up as an agent slash broker, and what I prefer if you haven't. And if you have, please keep on the lookout for my content. I'll leave more video content if possible down below on some strategies you guys can use, what to pick up on. But just remember this: if you are in it, commit. Don't do it partially. A lot of people join it thinking that it'll be something, but it turns out to be something else. I've been there at that time. I remember those days. And if you stick in it long enough, it could work. You'll have your days where it doesn't, and other days where it does, or where it does a little bit, and then other days it does more. And so you have to come to a point in a decision, like I have, where I've done it long enough and I know what results or what I can do at certain times. But sometimes what's unpredictable is the client you are working with. It's unfortunate, but that person ends up probably applying to multiple places, although they trusted you. I've had clients who've gone funding through me. Some recently, I won't say their names, but they went up and applied to the same place or a different place. They get declined there, and then they come back to me, and then they try to do it this way. And I'm like, well, you just kind of like shattered things there. And I told you what not to do, yet they did it. And so it's like, whether they did that or not, it's crazy, because everybody's trying to take your clients. You work hard for that person. You only find out that they get declined, or it wasn't what they were wanting, or because they didn't want to start somewhere, they wouldn't take something. And it's so, like, you gotta be careful who you invest your energy and time with in this industry. It's not what everybody cracks it up to be. So that is all from me. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, and look down below for all information and so much more. Thank you.